Return to the combat area.
Alright, I don't mean to alarm you guys, but recently in my comments section there has been a war going on between the Grease Gang and the Flamer Loyalists, and I don't literally want to throw water onto this fire, but let me know which one you prefer when using the Engineer class in Rising Storm 2 Vietnam in the comments. But we're going to be talking about the M9A17 flamethrower, and I'm going to be honest, flamethrower is a hard word. I think I have a lisp, and that word is like very difficult for me to pronounce, so bear with me. But we're going to be talking about it and how I like to use this weapon, and none of you can sit here and tell me otherwise, but whenever someone else uses the flamethrower, I'm getting killed in the most ridiculous ways. But when I use the flamethrower, I swear they loaded up the gas tanks with pepper spray because it barely leaves a scratch on the VC sometimes. But some of you might regard the flamethrower as the best close quarters weapon, and while it is extremely strong, some would even say it was designed for close quarters. I'd rather take a shotgun because it's just more versatile, but with the flamethrower you can hit enemies you can't even see, and it is perfect for flushing out enemies that might be held up within a confined space. But looking at the stats of this weapon, it has a 4.7 gallon fuel tank, which doesn't really mean anything to me. Like, I think 1 liter is 1 gallon is 4.7 liters, so 4 liters, so that's 16 liters, I think, if over 16 liters if my math is correct. But it can provide a continuous stream of fire for 7 seconds, which honestly in game feels like a long time. I usually die or find an ammo crate before I run out, and yet again you have to be able to use your sidearm. Obviously if you're playing as the Anzacs, you have the best advantage if you're going flamethrower only, because the high power is just better than some rifles in the game. But if you're playing as the US, I recommend that you take the revolver instead of the M1911, because since if you want to hit targets outside of your flame range, it's better to be able to pull the hammer back of the revolver and actually get that one accurate shot. Or you might use the pistol only for close quarter means, such as like if you run out of ammo with the flamethrower, then take the M1911, or just take whatever you do best with, but I personally prefer the revolver. But the flamethrower has a lot of recoil, and honestly there's no need to use the ADS unless you need to get the flame through a tight spot from far away, such as a slit in a bunker or a window. But obviously I'm not saying that it's useless ADS, it does have its uses, but as long as you are aware of the fact that the fire comes directly out of the barrel. Also, the flamethrower is a thing called hit scan. Now I had multiple people explain what that meant to me because I could not understand what it meant, but from my understanding it means like a ray is emitted from the flamethrower, and anything that comes into contact with it within a certain range dies or randomly combusts. But my advice is to not use this weapon unless you're going to be in close quarter scenarios such as Hue City, which is a perfect map for this weapon because you have lots of walls to bounce the flame off. But big open maps such as Coochie might not be the best choice, or certain areas of Coochie, even though the flamethrower has a range of 30 meters compared to the 20 meters in Red Orchestra 2. But close quarter jungle environments or concrete jungles is very good for this weapon. Usually I just run around like a madman whilst also weaving in and out of trees and cover. But if you are using a flamethrower, try and be as erratic as you can if you're running and gunning, because surprisingly enough, despite carrying a backpack full of gas, you are fairly mobile and you should use this to your advantage. But instead of running around like a madman, sometimes you can sit on a point and hold angles that is common for the VC to run through, especially if you are attacking. I find it good to just camp somewhere on the point, especially if you are playing as a squad leader, even though I don't recommend playing as a squad leader if you have the flamethrower because you will die a lot. But one thing that I advise you do is shoot fire at the doorways, because this can actually cause a lingering flame effect, or a Molotov effect basically, where the VC, if they run through it, they'll catch fire, or they'll have to wait out the fire or redirect themselves to a different way to get into the point.
Whoa, that almost hit me.
Okay,
I have no eyebrows.
Try and run up the stairs. Okay. That went just as expected. But if you are face to face with an enemy, you don't want to forget to strafe around when holding the trigger, because it is near impossible to see where exactly the flamer is. Well, I mean, obviously they're in front of you, but you can't see exactly where. But a little tip you want to be aware of is the flamethrower has a delay between sprinting and firing, which means if you know that you are going into a situation such as turning a corner or going into a building where you don't know where the VC are exactly, but there is a chance they might be there, before you run into these scenarios, you want to actually take take a second to stop so you can actually lift up the flamethrower and get it in the ready position, because this has actually killed me heaps of times because I'd run into a scenario, come face to face with an enemy, and they're able to prep their gun faster than I am able to. But this also applies to hitting people at range with the flamethrower. It takes a couple of seconds for the flame to actually reach the enemy, and there have been times where I thought that I killed someone, but it turns out I didn't, because the flame would hit them, but then I'd also die and I wouldn't register the kill even though they'd be dead. But this is just some really frustrating thing that I hate about using the flamethrower. But if you don't know, the flamethrower can be used to bounce flames off the wall, and if you can hear VC around a corner, what I do is actually just hit the wall and it will bounce off. This is very good if you're in trenches and someone's hiding behind a corner and you can't shoot over them, then you could just hit the corner and then it should be able to bounce and hit them. But this also leads on to my next point, and that is you shouldn't be afraid to fire at what you can't see. Sure, if someone is hundreds of meters away, maybe get to cover, but if you are getting shot at within close proximity but you don't exactly know where, if it isn't like an instant life or death situation, you want to check your map, make sure there are no friendlies nearby, and you just want to throw some flames into the bushes, and you'll be surprised at how many kills you'll actually get because of this. Also, I don't know if people would agree with me on this, but you can fire at tunnels, and this can actually cause the VC to spawn in the fire. Now, I know that some people might consider this spawn camping. With the service that I checked on, for me, it isn't considered spawn camping. Sure, it's frustrating, but what's the difference between throwing a grenade onto the tunnel and destroying it like that, or actually destroying the tunnel, or just burning the tunnel and having people spawn into the fire when, you know, they can still spawn at the main base? Also, one more thing is that you shouldn't stop until you hear the screams, because there have been times when I thought I got them, but I didn't hear the screaming and I got killed because of it. Someone on the Rising Storm 2 Vietnam Discord suggested to me that the flamethrower can be used as a smoke screen, and I kind of agree. Use this at your own risk. I have done it a couple of times. I found that it can help when you don't have teammates throwing smokes and you need to cross a crucial location such as the road onto the points onto Hue City. Thank you to Anthony for actually telling me about the fact that you can destroy certain traps with the flamethrower. But if you did enjoy this Rising Storm 2 Vietnam guide, please do consider checking out the playlist that is on screen. But anyways, my name is Tantu, and I will catch you guys in the next video. Peace.